Good morning, everyone. I am teacher Jarrett. And today we are going to be reading a story together. Okay? Yeah. Today we are going to be reading a nonfiction story. And the title of the story is Teach a Dog. The author is Justin Young. We will also have a paired read that's called Working with Dolphins. Dolphins, yay! Okay, now let's go to the next, well, before we go to the next page, let's look at this picture. We see a little boy, and he's holding the leash for his dog. So he's probably trying to teach his dog to do some things, right? Remember, in our previous lesson, we learned about the guide dogs, right? So this story is going to be about teaching dogs basic things, not to be a guide dog, just how they can be a good pet. Okay, so let's read this next page. Genre, nonfiction. Essential question: how do people work with animals? Teach a Dog by Justin Young. Chapter 1. How do you teach a dog? Page 2. Chapter 2. How can a dog teach you? Page 6. Chapter 3. How do you walk a dog? Page 8. Respond to reading. Page 12. Paired read, Working with Dolphins. Page 13. And focus on social studies. Page 16. Okay, so let's start reading our story. So, Chapter 1. How do you teach a dog? Dogs love to play. Dogs make great pets. They follow rules if people teach them. Would you like to be a dog teacher? It's hard work, but it's fun. So we can see here's a little girl with some young puppies, right? They're still pretty small dogs. And here you can see 3 little boys, and they're playing with their little dog in the wagon. They taught their dog to sit in the wagon so that they could pull it, right? Yeah. Okay. So today we are going to be seeing more on how to teach dogs and how we can learn from dogs, right? Okay. If a dog behaves well, give a small treat. Then say, "Good dog." Give lots of love. You will get love back. This dog knows the rules. Okay, so we can see that if you want the dog to be trained, what you have to tell it to do something, give it a signal. Remember we talked about signals? Yeah, you put up your hand to say sit, and then if your dog sits, you take a cookie and you give it a cookie or a treat. I should say a dog cookie, right? You give it a dog cookie or a treat. And then you say, "Good dog," and you can pet it on its head, right? So this dog is getting the signal to sit and look, and the girl is getting ready to give the dog a treat. Okay, next page. This girl pats the dog after it sits. Sit, stay, come. These are the key words a dog should know. First, teach a dog to sit. Gently push the dog's back end down and say sit. So the dog's back end is right here. So when you say sit, you push down on the dog's back end, push down gently. You don't want to hurt the dog. Push the dog's back end down and say sit, okay? If it stands up, say sit. If it sits, give it a treat. If it sits, give it a treat, okay? So that's the first important command we are going to learn today, right? So when you're teaching a dog, the easiest command to teach a dog is sit, because the dog is standing. You push down on its back end and say sit, and then you give it a treat. Then if you say sit and the dog sits, you give it another treat. If you say sit and the dog doesn't sit, then it doesn't get a treat, right? You only give treats to the dog when it does what you want it to do, okay? Okay. Now teach the dog to stay. Have the dog sit. Put out your hand and say stay. Next, walk a few steps away. If the dog stays, give her a treat. Then say, come. If she comes, give her a treat for being so clever. Remember, we learned the word clever means smart and able to learn quickly. All right? So here this says this dog is learning to stay. So the woman holds up her hand and says, stay. And the dog sits there. So if the dog does that, then you give the dog a treat, right? Good. So we learned sit, we learned stay, and then we learned come. So those are 3 important commands you need to teach your dog. Okay. Now the next page is Chapter 2. How can a dog teach you? A dog can't talk, of course, so he will give a signal instead. If a dog's paw is out, he wants something. What if his tail is down? It's a sign that he's sad, right? So we can see in these pictures, this dog is begging. So this dog's paw is out, right? See how the paw goes out like that? So that means the dog wants the girl to take the treat and put it into his paw, right? Yeah. Or this dog is shy or scared. So we can see the dog's tail is down, right? So if the dog is scared, it crouches over and its tail goes down and it doesn't wag. It doesn't do this. It's just down. So that's 2 ways that dogs can give you a signal, right? So if a dog's tail is down, you know that you need to give the dog some love, right? You need to pet it or give it a hug. If the dog is putting its paw out, it means it wants something. So you know you have to give it food. If a dog is wagging his tail, he's happy. If his rear end is up, he wants to play. What if he rolls onto his back? He's saying, you're the boss, please rub my tummy. So we can see, here's a dog with its rear end up, right? Rear end is up, front is down. So this dog wants to play. It even has a little toy. We can see this dog loves the child. The dog is with the child and the dog looks very happy, right? Yeah. So in the last sentence, there's no picture, but if a dog lays on his back and he shows you his tummy, he wants you to rub his tummy, right? Because he wants to feel good and he wants you to make him feel good. Okay? Next page. Chapter 3. How do you walk a dog? These dogs are learning to use a leash. Dogs love to go for walks. First, clip on the leash. Walk slowly. Try not to pull on the leash, but do keep the dog near you. Okay, so we can see that this girl is clipping the leash onto the dog's collar, right? So there's a collar around the dog, and there's a little hook, and then you take the leash and you hook it to that, right? Yeah. And so then when you go for a walk with your dog, make sure you keep the dog close to you, okay? You don't want the dog to run away, because if the dog runs very far ahead, then you'll have to run, and you don't want to run. You want to hold the dog close to you so that the dog knows that he should walk with you, right? You want the dog to walk with you. You don't want the dog to run away. Okay. Sometimes a dog pulls on the leash. She might have found something to sniff. Stop walking. When she is still, you can start walking again. So you can see this dog is pulling. Pull, pull. The dog wants to go smell something over here. But if you're learning to walk your dog, just hold the dog and don't let it pull you. Eventually, the dog will stop wanting to sniff that, and then it will go back to the walk. Okay? Good. You can run with a dog too. But if she pants too much, slow down or stop. Make sure you and the dog take a water break. So this word pants is a new word, right? Pants means when the dog goes, you see what I did? If the dog does that, if the dog pants too much, that means the dog is tired and the dog needs water. It's just like if you run really fast, you go, right? You can't breathe very well. So it's important that you rest and that you get a water break, okay? So it's okay to run if the dog is able to run, but sometimes dogs want to run more than they should. So it's always good to stop sometimes and drink water with your dog. This dog likes to run. Run, 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 run. They're both running. Good. If you'd like, you can write down all the rules. Then you can help someone else teach a dog. You can write a list of ways to train your dog. So this is saying that if you train your dog and your dog listens to you, you can write down all of the rules that you taught your dog and how you taught your dog, right? And then you can help others learn how to teach their dog too, right? You can either give them the list or you can go to your friend's house with your piece of paper and you can show them how to train your dog. Remember, sit, stay, come. And then you also teach them how to walk, right? So that is a good way for you to help your friends or to remember how to train your dog, okay? All right, let's go to the next page. Respond to reading! Yay! Okay, now we get to retell the story. We will use the chart to help you retell Teach a Dog. So we will make a first, next, then last chart. Okay? So let's make sure we put the arrows in. Arrows go in. Okay. And now we will get our typing box. So first, so what's the first thing we need to do when we teach a dog? So the first thing we need to do is teach them sit, stay, and come, right? So first, teach your dog to sit, stay, and come. When they listen, give them a treat, right? So that's the first thing we need to do when we get a dog, right? We need to teach them to sit, stay, and come. And when they listen, we give them a treat. Okay, now, next. What do we do next? Next, we need to learn from our dog, right? So we can say next. Next, it is time to learn from your dog. Pay attention to the signals they give you, right? So it's important to Next, it is time to learn from your dog. Pay attention to the signals they give you. So if they put their rear end in the air, you know they want to play. Or if they wag their tail really fast, that means they're happy, right? So there's lots of signals you have to learn so that you can pay attention and know what your dog is thinking, right? Yeah. Okay, now let's see what's then. Then we should learn to walk our dog, right? Then we should teach our dog to take a walk. Don't let them run too far away, right? So then we should teach our dog to take a walk. Don't let them run too far away. Remember? This dog is pulling. You don't want the dog to pull you, okay? Or you can run too. And then last, write down all of the rules. Can remember them or help your friends, right? So last, write down all of the rules so you can remember them or help your friends. Okay? So that is our story. We just retold it with a first, next, then last chart, right? And the reason we used a first, next, then last chart today is because the story was in a time sequence, right? So some stories we read are key or main points in key details, right? Or main topics in key details. That's when it just gives us a lot of different information. But this story tells us first, next, then last, right? Because there's a certain sequence. We can't put this first, right? Because before you can write down all of the rules, you need to teach your dog the rules, right? So that's why this goes first and this goes last. Okay, now let's answer some questions. Okay, so we are going to answer some questions. So question 1, look at pages 4 and 5. Whoops. 4 and 5. What can you teach a dog after it learns to sit? So let's go to pages 4 and 5. So here's page 10. Here's page 6. Here's page 4 and 5. So this is sit. And after sit, you can teach it to stay. And after you teach it to stay, you can teach it to come, right? Yeah. So we can say, after you teach a dog to sit, you can teach it to stay or come, right? Yes, very good. Okay, let's go to the next page. Oh, next question, I mean. Question 2. Look at page 8. What is the first thing to do before you walk a dog? Okay, does anyone remember this? Remember, it's long. There's a collar around the front with a hook. Yes, you got it! You have to put a leash on your dog. Very good. Before you walk a dog, you should put a leash on it. So let's go look at page 8 to see. There's page 10. There's page 8, right? 8. So we can see first clip on the leash. You are so smart. Good job. And we can see here's the picture of the leash, right? And there's another leash. Okay. Now let's go to our last question for this area. Is teach a dog fiction or nonfiction? I will make this bigger. Okay, 3. Is teach a dog fiction or nonfiction? Okay, so the story teach a dog is, if you think it's nonfiction, raise your hand. Oh, good. It is nonfiction. You got it right. Okay, good job. So we can say the story teach a dog is nonfiction, and why? Well, we can say the story teach a dog is nonfiction because it is a story with photographs, and it is a story about something in real life, right? So, let's read these together one more time. Look at pages 4 and 5. What can you teach a dog after it learns to sit? After you teach a dog to sit, you can teach it to stay or come. We can actually say you can teach it to stay and come. Okay? Now 2. Look at the page 8. What is the first thing to do before you walk a dog? And we said, before you walk a dog, you should put a leash on it. Good. Now our last sentence. Is teach a dog fiction or nonfiction? The story Teach a Dog is nonfiction because it is a story with photographs and it is a story about something in real life. We will put a comma here because this is a full sentence and this is a full sentence. Okay? So, that's all for that story. Now let's go to our next story about dolphins. Yay! There's dolphins. Okay. Genre, nonfiction. Compare texts. Read about how animals work with people. Working with dolphins. Remember the TH. With. With. Your tongue should come out a little bit, okay? Okay. Did you know that dolphins are good helpers? They can help people with special needs. Dolphins can help people who are sick or hurt too. The woman in the photo trains dolphins. She teaches them how to swim with children. Dolphins can understand commands. So that means dolphins are similar to dogs, right? Because dogs can learn commands and dolphins can learn commands too, right? And we can see that they're good helpers. So they're like a guide dog or a helping dog. If someone is sick or hurt, the dolphins can help them. They can either make them happy or they can take care of them. And this is a trainer. Dolphins get trained just like dogs. They need a trainer to help them learn what to do. Trainers teach dolphins how to do tricks. A dolphin can stand on its tail. Some dolphins can jump through hoops. Watching tricks makes people happy. Dolphins like to eat fish. So we learned here that dolphins are also like dogs, right? Because the dolphin likes fish. So when the dolphin does something right, the trainer gives it a treat, which is a fish, right? And they can stand on their tail, like dogs can stand, and they can jump through hoops, right? I think a dog could jump through a hoop too if you took some time to train it. So watching tricks makes people happy. So dolphins help people be happy by doing tricks for them. So now make connections. Look at both stories. How do people train animals? So we already talked about that a little bit, right? The dogs are trained using treats and they're told what to do, right? They're given signals. So stay. For this signal with the dolphin, you can see they hold up a hoop. And the dolphin knows when it sees the hoop, it has to go through the hoop, right? So training animals is very similar no matter what animal it is. The animal just has to have the ability to learn, right? Yeah, okay. Now focus on social studies. Purpose, to find out the most liked pet. What to do? Take a survey. Find out what kind of pets your classmates like. Step 2. Tally the answers. Step 3. Share the answers with the class. So for this page, what you can do is make a list. You can say name and favorite pet, or what kind of pet do you like? And then you can ask your mother and father and grandmother and grandfather and maybe even some friends. But if you ask your friends, make sure you use English, okay? And then you can tally, you can count what animals people like the most. So if your mother and your father likes dogs and your grandmother likes cats and your grandfather likes birds, then 2 people like dogs, 1 person likes cats, and 1 person likes birds, right? Okay, you can do this on your own time after the lesson. It helps you learn about animal names and learn about your friends and know what they like, okay? Now we are on our last page of the day. So we just have to answer a few questions and we will be done. Yay! Okay, you are doing so good. Let's answer these couple questions and then the lesson is over. So our first question is, what was the author's purpose in writing the story Teach a Dog? Okay, so what was the author's purpose in writing the story Teach a Dog? So we know the author's purpose in writing the story was to help people learn how to train their dogs, right? So the author wrote the story because he wants people like you and me to understand how to train a dog, right? Because if we train a dog and we give it love, then the dog will be very good friends with us, right? Yeah. So that's why the author wrote this story. Okay, let's go to our next question. How does the author organize information in Teach a Dog? So we know that the author organizes the information in a sequence. First, next, then, and last. So how does the author organize information and teach a dog? We know that the author organizes the information in a sequence. So that means he tells you first do this, then next do that, then do that thing, and last do this thing, right? So he tells you how to do it step by step, okay? Now our last question is make connections. What kind of pet would you like to have? How would you train it? Well, I think everyone has a different answer to this question. So I will answer my way, and you can make up your own sentences and tell your mother and your father. You can ask them if you can have a pet. This is a good way. You can use English to ask your mother and father to get a pet for you. Okay, so I would like to have a pet bird. I would train it by teaching it to talk. Oh, a pet parrot. By teaching it to talk, and when it said the right words, I would give it a treat. Okay, I'll write the question here first. What kind of pet would you like to have? How would you train it? So everyone remembers that Teacher Jarrett, I have a dog already, right? Yeah, I have a big dog. So if I got a new pet, I would like to have a pet parrot because parrots can talk. If you say something to the parrot can say it back to you. So I would train it by teaching it to talk, and when it said the right words, I would give it a treat. Okay? Remember, when you train animals, it's important to give them a treat if they do something right. Okay? So if you got a dog, or if you got a little hamster, cats seem very hard to train, I think. But maybe you could train a cat too if you tried. If you gave it treats and then you told it what to do, I think you could train a cat too, maybe. Okay? So that is all of our lesson for today. We learned so much about training dogs and training other animals too. And we learned how dogs can help us and we can help them. So now it's time for me to say bye-bye. Okay, I will see you next time during our next lesson. But I have to say that I will see you next time. All right, bye-bye.